Like and subscribe right now, or this will be in your bed tonight.
Hello people and welcome back to ProRevenge. Please click like, subscribe and the bell icon for more videos from me. This will also help me out a lot and means that I'll be motivated to make more videos. You can always unsubscribe if you want, so please just click the subscribe button. Thanks and hope you enjoy the video.
Fire us or cut our pay, enjoy a mass walkout. Not sure if revenge or karma, but it fits revenge, I hope. Back in the early 2000s, I worked for a tech company who offered tech support, on-site support and training to organizations who either didn't want specialized staff or could benefit from outsourcing. The company consisted of the 3 directors, a sales department, finance/HR department, and tech department. Tech was further split, with a senior manager, 14 managers, and each team having 2 section managers. For call center support, where I worked, we had 2 team leaders, 2 senior engineers, 2 normal engineers and 2 juniors. I was a standard engineer, earning 22k for a job that was worth at least 5k more outside of the low price area we all lived in. 2006, and I'm still stuck in this job, on the same pay. Conditions are worse than before, with no overtime, no flexi-time, no financial compensation for industry qualifications, shortened breaks and no pay rise since I started. To make matters worse, they sold part of the land that the office was on to a developer, and on-site car parking was now for management only. We had to either pay to use the nearby council car park or risk parking on the street. Morale was low, but despite bad pay it was still good for the area we lived in. One Friday in July, think it was the 21st, one of the senior engineers finds a document that he shares around the private chat app. It's a restructuring plan that the board voted in last week. Apparently, this had to be made available for the company for 3 months before any changes to terms and conditions could be made, so the board gave it a generic file name and tried to bury it in the large staff shared area of the network. One of the directors was selling his shares and moving on, having been headhunted by a large recruitment firm in a nearby city. The 2 remaining directors had managed to buy most of her shares with a small quantity going outside the company. This was the company response. Most of the document was a typical downsize/restructure package with a twist. A few team mergers, staff reductions and pay cuts spun as if to say that they needed to maximize their profits to put the lost money back into the company. In October, a new contract would be released for all to sign and was generic. In November, the restructure would be announced, and by January 1st, the new structure would be in place. The directors noted that the new contract needed to include clauses for non-competition and for soliciting customers, as these didn't exist except for the sales staff. It also mapped current positions to their new ones and what the new salary would be. I would be down by £5,000 a year, but the twist was that anyone with the word manager in their title would have their pay increased drastically. The team manager's pay jumped from 50k to 65k for example. By the end of the day, everyone under the rank of team leader had seen this document and was not happy. Over the weekend, I got a text message from one of the senior engineers inviting me to a BBQ at his house. When I got there, most of the tech staff was there, and during the afternoon we formulated a battle plan. rSLASH. Monday 24th July, 8 AM. 26 people in the tech team arrived for work as normal, each with a letter for the senior manager giving their 1-month notice, and all quoting the clause in their contract that states that members of the technical team with access to confidential company information must be off-site and on gardening leave the same day as they hand in their notice. No exceptions will be given. Gardening leave is a term used to say that we still work for the company, have handed in our notice to quit, but can't remain on site or using company resources so must wait out the remainder of the notice at home. We can't start a new job within that period. The net effect was that at 9:30 AM, the director realized that his entire tech staff had quit and marched to the office floor and started harassing one of the seniors. The senior simply stood, took off his ID badge and swipe card, handed it to the director, and told him I've already quit. This is me now sticking to my contract. On cue, most of the staff followed, with one member staying until lunchtime. From what I've been told, directors, senior managers, anyone they could get hold of were on the phones attempting to fix issues. The unsolved open queue went from around 35 to nearly 100 by lunchtime, and naturally the blame was left firmly at the door of those who quit. We were even bad-mouthed to customers. The day after our notice period expired, the senior engineer welcomed 25 new staff to his new company and had already taken 10 large contracts from the place we used to work for. We all had better pay, not much, but it was better than losing pay and much better conditions, with an actual career track, rather than the whim of the managers. The old company tried to keep afloat for a year, but were losing money on every contract and couldn't afford to employ skilled or experienced people. They closed down in June of 2007, with the owners having to sell personal assets to pay debts, and the 2 remaining directors declaring personal bankruptcy too. I left the new company in 2010 as the market had changed, and more companies were hiring staff than outsourcing, so contracts were harder to find, and I also had some minor medical issues that meant I needed to be near home. New company is still going strong though, having lent more towards web design and development than anything else these days. Malicious compliance vs ProRevenge disclaimer to begin. Writing this on mobile, while half watching a toddler in a kiddie pool. Forgive me and my foul mouth. And like any good story, we need a bit of backstory to set the stage. High school sucked because I was a forever friend zone nerdy gamer guy, so I decided for my senior year I was going to get out of Ohio and study abroad. I slept through 3 years of German, so I applied to go to Germany. Ended up getting placed in Salzburg, Austria, which is the most beautiful place on earth I've been to date and need to visit again soon. The study abroad place had a few warnings for the next year before I left. Don't get in criminal trouble, don't get shit grades, and don't fall in love. My only danger with the first one was my lead foot. I totaled my first car, but was allowed to drive my old man's 95 Ranger 4-cylinder 5-speed, and it barely got out of its own way. The second one, I did enough to get C's and B's without caring much. The third one, oh. Through some teenage angsty drama, that is a story for another time, I end up meeting, dating, and falling madly in love with my now wife and mother of my daughter. I'm 17, work full time for summer. As stated, my old man lets me borrow his truck after I get off work. The rules are I have to be home by 10 weekdays and 11 on weekends. He justifies this that if I broke down or whatever, he'd have to come get me and fix the truck before he had to leave for work at 6. To my turbocharged hormones, this is tyranny. I spend every moment I'm not at work with my GF because boobs and making out are awesome. But summer is quickly coming to an end and I have to leave the country. The last day before I have to leave, my old man eases the restriction and says I can have until midnight to be home and can be gone all day. We leave for New York City the next morning at 10. This is when I hatch a plan. I'm leaving the country, so I can't be given a worse curfew or extra chores, and my family wouldn't piss away the study abroad money unless it was dire. I spend the whole day with my GF and tell her to wait up after I leave. I have a surprise. I drive home and make it there at 11:58, creep into my room and spend the next hour aiming her. At 1 I roll the truck down the driveway and head back to her house. Fall asleep with her in my arms. Life is perfect. I knew full good and goddamn well I was breaking the intent, but not the letter of the law. My argument was that my old man never said how early I could go to her house. I never woke up before noon, so it was just left unsaid. Perfect malicious compliance in my head. I wake up at 9. Just enough time for a tea goodbye and to haul ass home to head to New York City to fly to Vienna. But I look out the door and the truck is gone. I panic and realize I'm a dead man. My trip is off. I'm gonna have to work all the hours to pay my old man back for a stolen truck and wasted trip. I'm never going to have time to see my GF, and I'll never experience Europe like I wanted. I call my old man in this panic, to hear him answer with deafening silence upon hearing the news. Now for my old man's ProRevenge. He heard me rolling just before midnight and went fully to sleep. He did not hear me roll out at 1, because years of playing Dungeons and Dragons taught me how to be a good sneaky archer type. But when he woke up at 6 and saw both the truck and I were gone, he knew there was only one place in the world I could possibly be. So he and my stepmom drove over to my GS, and with the spare key, took the truck and went home. When he got my call a few hours later, he gave a full 30-second beat and then began yelling and told me I better find his damn truck or I was never gonna see the outside of my room again, much less my GF or Austria. I'm freaking out, running around her neighborhood asking if anyone had seen the truck, about to call the cops, when he calls back 5 minutes later laughing his ass off. He tells me he stole the truck and I was in deep shit and I better be home fast. He makes me get a ride home with my GF and her mom. When I arrive, he is standing in the driveway smug as hell. I get berated for an entire 6-hour drive to New York City about how big of a dumbass I am and leave the country as planned. It all works out in the end. I got the girl who I'm happily with 17 years later and the truck until she died of a high rust 12 years later. TL. Dr. I maliciously comply with curfew, only to leave an hour later. Old man extracts ProRevenge by stealing the truck and making me panic.
Thank you everyone for making it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Leave a comment if you want. Please make sure to like, subscribe and click the bell icon for more videos. I have lots of other videos on my channel too, which should be on the screen right now, so please give them a watch. Thanks and bye.